I'm actually going to show you a YouTube comment that I would like to respond to. You comment pretty much the same. Now, this was under my making fun of Jeremy's Razors, the Daily Wire's razor brand that they came out with to try to cancel culture Harry's Razors for some reason. I'd never heard of Harry's Razors until the Daily Wire started buying all kinds of fucking advertisement and showing me their stupid ass Jeremy's Razors. So this is the video I made mocking it, because let me tell you, the transphobes have been out hot and heavy this week since the Matt Walsh What Is a Woman documentary came out. I have been asked that question so many times by idiots. I'm tired of explaining it. But this was on the Jeremy's Razors video. You comment pretty much the same thing to every single person, and yeah, calling people sheep seems like a great way to sway minds to your stance. And like, that doesn't sound like me. I don't know that I was calling people sheep. I kind of scrolled through and like I did see that like I'd been like, and you people call others sheep or something like that. So everyone knows my catchphrase is right-wingers are morons. And I don't know why people think like that's always the critique of me. Well, that's a great way to try to sway minds. Who says I'm trying to sway your mind? Maybe I'm not trying to appeal to you. They continue. All of the things you are saying about conservatives could be thrown right back at you and your beliefs and reasoning. No, they can't. In short, your arguments are weak at best. No, I will tell you what was a weak argument was that. To make that assertion and give no supporting evidence, that was a weak argument. I'm sorry, Alice. And before you assume, no, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat or whatever BS political party that's available. Of course, you're one of those enlightened centrists. We're going to hear from one of those when we watch this Vaush video. I am simply a natural-born U.S. citizen concerned with the absolute idiocracy and disarray that is running our country into the ground. Me as well. So why can't we find common ground and take out the oligarchy, the corporations that have bought and dismantled our government? And sorry to have to be the one to tell you this, but the way you approach these hot topics, quote-unquote, the Jeremy's Razor video. By the way, yeah, this is a substantive video where I'm just mocking the absurdity of the Jeremy's Razors commercial. But the way you approach these hot topics seem to be a part of the problem that only exacerbate the issue. It seems like you're the one who lacks self-awareness. Once again, no supporting evidence. With that being said, I sincerely wish you nothing but the best and success in your life. But going around insulting people because they believe something different or have a different perspective is no way to go through life trying to achieve something. It's not helpful to you or your cause or anyone else for that matter. I hope you understand that this is coming from a place of solicitude. Well, Alice, I hope you understand that this is coming from a place of go-fuckitude. If you're not going to the Daily Wire, who regularly calls, and their fans regularly call people like me groomers for supporting the LGBTQ community, being a part of the LGBTQ community, if you're not going over to the Daily Wire and leveling this critique at them, especially them, I'm just mocking a fucking idiotic commercial. And you're not going over and leveling that critique at the people that are calling us groomers. Groomers. I've been called a groomer today on Twitter. Then, like, I think you lack self-awareness. It's always this appeal to respectability politics, which might I add, always favors the status quo. This try to be wannabe play centrist always ends up benefiting the right-wing Republican Party. And and the corporate interests in this country. So I ain't playing nice with these fucks. The people that wanted to do an insurrection on January 6th, 2021. I'm not playing nice with those fucks. They are morons. I am going to call them out, and they are fascistic. And that's one of the things I want to get into is Vaush had a centrist on it. Apparently, they are a trans woman. He posted this a day or two ago, and I just happened to be looking for something to kill time while I was waiting on my pot dealer this morning. And well, we disagree on pretty much everything. Debating a centrist trans woman was the title, and I'm like, I've never actually watched Vaush. I'm interested, and I watched about an hour of this. An hour is all I could take, and I'd like to show you the moment that I'm like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. Like, this centrist trans woman is very young. She's 22, and the naivete comes through. And there's one of the reasons why I waited so long to do something like this is because at 22 I was a dumb fuck and didn't know jack about shit to where I could talk it. And like at 22 I was the news director of 9 radio stations. I was perfectly equipped to read police press releases and reword shit from the AP and go out and interview fucking people with these nonprofits and put together these feel-good stories and shit. That's what I did. But I was not anywhere near educated enough to get on here and like debate these topics on these deep issues that are far more complex than she obviously knows. And I want to play you the moment that I just like, wow, I can't believe she just said that, and I feel sorry for her. It's about 3 or 4 minutes from here, but I wanted to get enough of the setup.
The fact that January 6th, as awful as it was, the fact that nothing did happen from it is just proof that our democracy is great, and that it's able to prevent these coups from happening.
Ooh,
the United States democracy.
That's a bad attitude to have.
That, school shootings account for such a small percent of gun deaths that it's not worth mentioning. Yeah, when you talk about the political violence being done by conservatives, that's also a very small percentage of violence or political violence in general being done. So yeah, you seem like that's a major thing to focus on, like this inevitable disaster. The statistics. I mean, how many people in the United States have died from conservative violence? Obviously, there's some, and every time it's a tragedy. And I hope the people that do that are locked in prison because it's just disgusting. But I don't think it's this.
435 total deaths, and 76% of them came from right-wing extremism.
People, those directions. We can have that discussion. But I don't, think that there's going to be any crazy mass violence against any groups, or that this is a serious threat that needs serious action.
Everyone says it can't happen here till it happens here, right? I mean, you say that because January 6th didn't lead to the overthrow of the government, that's a sign of America's strength. But the beer hall putsch in Germany also did not lead to the overthrow of the Weimar Republic. The difference there being, of course, that Hitler was thrown in jail after the beer hall putsch, and no Republican official.
He keeps coming back to Nazi Germany, and I understand the comparison and everything, but it's probably not the best strategy because,
pretty darn well for the future right now.
She keeps it's not like Nazi Germany.
My argument here isn't based on conservative crime statistics. We have a party, the second largest party in the country, who is pretty openly anti-democracy, and if they attain power, I think there's fair reason to believe that they would use it to subvert our democracy. And in such a time of civil unrest, I think it's good that people be armed. You would agree that Republicans are anti-democracy, right? That there's no other way to reconcile their behavior, the support of the insurrection, the persistent months and years-long lying about the results of the 2020 election, the fact that Donald Trump continues to essentially prompt and threaten civil war. in speeches and in like social media behavior.
And it's not just Trump.
That nothing but a violent insurrection can oust the the Democrats.
The thing that worries me the most is, the Shasta County Board of Supervisors that's been taken over. All these little school boards that are being taken over by these MAGA assholes.
I think that there is a point to be had in the sense that when it comes to Joe Biden winning the election fairly, there was a disturbing amount of people who said, no, Joe Biden did not win this fair election because of, reasons, mail-in voting, even though statistically been proven to actually be realistic, and it actually accounts for all the votes. People still said that wasn't right. But my argument would be like when Trump won in 2016, people were saying, no, Hillary won this election. So
that's a horrid false equivalency.
In this case, the Republicans were maybe a little more extreme than 2016. But at the same time, I don't think...
Wait, I'm sorry. I have to hold on that. Hillary Clinton conceded the election the next day. The people who said Hillary Clinton won the election did so because she won the popular vote while losing the electoral vote. Nothing that Hillary Clinton's fans did was like subverting democracy. It was criticism of the Electoral College system. I don't think there's any comparison to be made between that.
No, I know. I was actually just about to say that. I don't think it's the same, but I think...
Then why did you bring it up?
I don't think it's... Obviously, if you look at it, I think there's a lot more problem on one side than another. I think that is a fair point to make, and I do think that that's a worry.
A hell of a lot more problem on one
I
side.
don't think it's such a worrying trend that it's like people need to arm themselves, be prepared for this huge political unrest in the nation. I think we're fine.
We have a party.
I think the media just wants to make it seem like so extreme. And
just wait till you hear what she says.
Insurrection attempt, for whom tens of millions of Americans still believe that the current sitting president is there illegitimately after cheating, who believe that there is a deep state that conspiratorially orchestrates the outcomes of American elections, with a presidential frontrunner, Donald Trump, who not only did prompt all of this, but continues to threaten that our democracy is illegitimate. This isn't... You think the media is overblowing this? I think the media is underblowing this. What we're looking at right now is a pretty clear set of signals that the Republican Party, if given the power to...
From top to bottom, especially down at the bottom, especially at the local level, which is where they're going to tabulate votes in an election.
In 2024, if they win the presidency, they're going to have the court and the presidency, and they will...
Wait till you hear what she says.
In Congress, and at best, they might have both of the bicameral seats. If that's the case, I consider that... we're talking about a tremendous, tremendous threat. I think that you're dramatically downplaying both the seeming interest they have in undermining democracy and also the means that they have to achieve it, the ability. They're currently undermining long-standing constitutional precedent with Roe v. Wade.
The Roe v. Wade thing is, if you look at the statistics of who supports it, it's unpopular and it's probably going to hurt them in the vote. I don't think, though, that Republicans would suddenly become a dictatorship if politically it was okay for them to do so. I think if they ever tried to do that, they would never win an election again because nobody wants...
Let me run that back for a second for you.
To threaten that our democracy is illegitimate. This isn't... You think the media is overblowing this? I think the media is underblowing this. What we're looking at right now is a pretty clear set of signals that the Republican Party, if given the power to, would just do away with democracy. They already have the courts. They're probably going to have the Senate. They might end up having the House.
If the Republican Party becomes a dictatorship, they will lose the next election.
At worst, have a...
And that's why... You're not prepared to do this and debate like this at 22.
If that's the case, I consider that... we're talking about a tremendous, tremendous threat. I think that you're dramatically downplaying both the seeming interest they have in undermining democracy and also the means that they have to achieve it, the ability. They're currently undermining long-standing constitutional precedent with Roe v. Wade.
The Roe v. Wade thing is, if you look at the statistics of who supports it, it's unpopular and it's probably going to hurt them in the vote. I don't think, though, that Republicans would suddenly become a dictatorship if politically it was okay for them to do so. I think if they ever tried to do that, they would never win an election again because nobody wants a dictator. We want free and fair elections.
They wouldn't need to win an election.
they become a dictatorship, so there's not going to be elections.
Like,
there will be forced elections. That's the moment that I'm like, I am checked out of this, and I feel sorry for her. I think, and she said she had been on with Destiny, I think. And these Vaush and Destiny are exploiting that young lady, and they should not do that. They know that the title, Debating a Centrist Trans Woman, is going to get clicks. But like that, no, he like at that, and like it's cool that he gave her the shot. That should have been the end of it right there. Like, okay, like I should wrap this up. He should not have gone on. God, this was painful. Should not have gone on another hour and 40 something minutes. I feel sorry for her. She is just young and very naive and not educated on these topics. And Vaush should have been savvy enough, but I was like, this is what he wanted, right? If that's the critique, and he's been super cool to me in the interactions I've had with him. But like that's not cool doing that to her. I'm not into that. And if Destiny did it, that's not cool on him to do it. Like, she is clearly out of her depth. And you should not take advantage of that for clicks. And it's at one point in time, she says, like, I know you're scared. And he's like, I'm not scared. I'm rich. I'm fine. Thank you for the self-awareness. But like, did you have to have her on? And he was respectful. Like, he wasn't, I would be mocking somebody that called in and tried to talk to me like that. I would have, like, from that moment on, it would have been mockery towards them. And I can't help it. He was totally respectful. Like, just my only critique is I feel like that's a little exploitative. But then again, we live in late stage fucking capitalism, and it incentivizes that kind of bullshit. It's a shame, but it's just the system we're in. All right. Teased it earlier. I have a new t-shirt design. Just went live on the Freak Store. I tried to make a graphic, but I didn't have enough time. Another day in USA. See the graphic. There's another day in mass shooting, USA. $2 from every sale of this t-shirt goes to every town for gun safety. If you wanted to go buy a t-shirt, I'm going to donate 20% of the proceeds to every town. Because it's just another day in mass shooting USA. I guess that's kind of me exploiting the news I'm getting ready to do. I was gonna have a little graphic pop up with the rifles and like the rifle sound effect and shit. Have the flag waving in the background. I'll have it for tomorrow. That's me exploiting the tragedy that I'm getting ready to talk about right now, and that's why I'm gonna donate 20% of any t-shirt if you like that t-shirt.